Hey, welcome to the podcast, everybody. Before we get started,
oh no!
I don't know what's gotten into you.
I hate you.
Before we get started, I'd like to shout out to our sponsor this week, Jim's Pizza. They're located at the Avenue of Barnes and Noble. So, remember, Jim's Pizza. If you stop in for a slice, that would be nice. Anyway, very very kind of them to sponsor this episode. So,
oh my god,
Josh, do we have any
that
emails?
That intro is so much better than "Hey demons, it's me, your boy." That's so much better. Fake sponsorships is now our new intro.
I've come into my own.
Oh my
when it
god,
comes to opening the
genius.
Episodes. I planned
that's
that.
Gonna be like a recurring bit now. Is fake sponsorships. Yeah. I love it. I'm
glad you like it.
That's what we're doing.
You know, very rarely do I do a joke that you approve of on this show.
No, that was amazing.
So
I completely back you on this.
Okay, cool.
Jim's Pizza, get some now.
Yeah, that's come and get a slice. That would be nice. I think the original was. I think the original was if you don't get a slice, that's not nice. But I changed it at the last minute because that's too negative of a marketing slogan. It sounds kind of threatening.
If you don't get a slice, we're gonna slice.
Yeah,
you.
Oh, man, I just got pizza on the mind.
I guess after slice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so do you have any emails, Josh?
What an intro. I loved it.
That's an all-time greatest intro.
Oh, that's probably one of my favorite intros.
Yeah.
Personally, no, we have no emails.
Good.
But we did get an email
about Brockhampton, and I have not listened to the album.
Me neither.
Good.
Except for the first song.
Cool.
And the first couple of seconds of the second song. You know why?
Yeah.
Because I forgot about it until the last second. I'm
know.
So sorry.
We're bad at that. So,
but I do want to talk about the first song.
Okay. Well, are we starting off with music?
Yes.
I'm going to be honest with you. You laid out for me how this episode's going to go not 2 minutes ago, and I've already forgot. So.
That's fine.
Okay.
So, I had this conflicting internal breakdown of sorts when coming up with my song of the week this week. I could have sworn we had done Led Zeppelin before.
Yes.
But our playlist on Spotify suggests we have not. So I'm here to change that. Fool in the Rain.
It's entirely possible that you did, and I just forgot it.
Maybe.
I mean, I not forgot, I just happened to skip over. I was pretty thorough with the list, so I'm going to assume not, but
That's fine. And if this is the second time I'm doing the same song, I don't care.
Whatever.
The song's amazing.
Yeah.
Fool in the Rain is amazing.
Yeah.
It has this chill and this manic vibe near the middle, and it's amazing. There's a whistle.
I thought you were going somewhere with that.
No, I mean I was, but then I looked at you and I just couldn't.
I was just like, should I say something, or I'll just let that hang in the air?
Yeah, no, it was funnier.
Okay.
No, there's a whistle and then the manic part starts. It's very good. The rhythms, the syncopated rhythms are amazing. That constant like ba 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 da ba, just going throughout the entire piece. The changing in tempos, it just leads to this song that has resonated with me since middle school.
Since the womb.
I mean, my parents probably didn't listen to it, but
it's a shame.
It is a shame. But yeah, no, this song is one of my absolute favorite songs of all time. And actually, I have to thank Abe for it. He's the one who actually really got me into it, because he wrote the composition for Steel Drums.
Right, that's right.
And we played it.
Our musician friend Abe, who gets mentioned approximately 3 times every episode.
It's true.
He wrote a steel drum composition for "Fool in the Rain,"
and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And we played it, and I did the bass part, and it was so much stinking fun. Oh my goodness, yeah, no, it's one of those things that I'm gonna remember forever, until I die. It's really good. So yeah, that's my song of the week this week.
Yeah. Oh, my song of the week is... Hold on.
Oh my god.
May I Have This Dance by Francis and the Lights. Let me ask you something, Josh.
Yes.
Are you a fan of Peter Gabriel?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this song's not by Peter Gabriel. It's by Francis and the Lights.
Cool.
And it is good.
I agree.
Yeah, you heard a little bit of it.
Yeah, I liked what I heard.
It's sick.
It is pretty sick.
The reason I mentioned Peter Gabriel is it sounds a lot like Peter Gabriel.
I don't listen to enough Peter Gabriel to tell you whether or not I actually
neither.
like him.
Like,
I'm sorry. That wasn't that funny.
I know it wasn't.
No, it just got me.
Me neither.
I'm in a laughing mood, alright?
Fair. That's a good time to record. I know a little bit of Peter Gabriel, what Dave has shown me. Because Dave's really into Peter Gabriel. I don't dislike Peter Gabriel. It's just I've never looked him up on my own. And but yeah, no, this is good. So maybe if Peter Gabriel's anything like this, I'll go listen to him.
Alright, cool.
It's just been stuck in my head for a couple days.
Okay,
Yep. Oh, and I was gonna say, clarify, the version that I'm talking about is not the version. They did a remix with Chance the Rapper, so that's our theme this week.
Chance the Rapper's our theme.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
He was in the A24 quest this week, and he's here.
Welcome, Chance the Rapper.
Yeah, our special guest this evening. And I heard that version on the radio, and I had no clue it was Chance the Rapper in that version. I had no clue what band did this. And I was hearing it, and I was like, this is pretty sweet. And then the Chance the Rapper verse came in, and I was like, this is less sweet. I have nothing against Chance the Rapper, but it's just kind of goes against the vibe of the song, in my opinion. So, mine's the version without Chance the Rapper. Some people might... Of course, the version with Chance the Rapper is like 3 times as popular as the original. But some people would probably prefer it because it's got Chance the Rapper in it. I just think it's a really clumsy collaboration. Like, it doesn't fit all that well. So, I don't know. That's my 2 cents.
Nino Libido.
It's my song of the week. You want to talk about Brockhampton?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Brockhampton.
Aight.
So I've listened to the first song, which is approximately about 5 minutes long, and it is this interesting combination of being like a schizophrenic, bipolar feeling song. Like it has these like low points and these very high points, and it is all over the place. There's like some constant droning sounds in the background, sometimes high pitch, sometimes low pitch. And then there's some really good rapping and some really bad rapping and some really weird rapping. It's interesting. There are some parts of this song that I really, really like. There's a part where there's this guy who raps, and he has a higher pitch voice, and he raps in this very strange sense. Like he articulates the words very well, and he, at least from the little bit I heard, I'd have to listen to it again to be sure. But then he has like this really weird voice he's putting on, it seems, and I loved it. I love that. I think it really pushed this into this bizarre kind of manic, schizophrenic feeling type of song, and it does some really different things that I haven't heard anywhere else. But then it also has some very stereotypical, almost edging on mumble rap stylings that I'm not such a big fan of. A very not at all big fan of.
Yeah, my typical problem with rap supergroups like Brockhampton is you got a lot of rappers competing on the same track. I don't know if competing is the right word, but there's a lot of rappers on the same track, and it often fails to keep a consistent feeling and a consistent tone. Because, a rapper builds themselves around their own personal style and, what sets them out apart from the rest. And when you get a bunch of those rappers together in the same group, it's just really a mess to listen to. And I haven't really gotten that feeling from Brockhampton as yet. Like I've liked what I've heard, but that would be a thing that I would hope that this album doesn't do. So that's my thing about rap supergroups.
Yeah. Well, as far as this song goes, I don't really have a strict opinion about it yet.
Okay.
I'm going to be listening to the rest of the album over the course of this next week, and I'll get back to you when I think about that. But as far as we're going, this first song, compared to what else I've heard from him, is a decent start, I would say.
Great.
So yeah, no, I'm actually getting excited. There was some pretty decent beats in it too. Sometimes I was actually kind of rocking in my car. Yeah, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to listen to more.
Yeah, that's actually that brings up an interesting point to me when I'm talking about that thing about the rap supergroups. What differentiates rap supergroups and rock supergroups like Velvet Revolver and Audio Slave? To me, rappers have more of this mentality of I'm the center of attention and I'm the spotlight, And when you have a rock supergroup like Velvet Revolver, each individual member is in service to the rest of the group, and it works. But with a rap supergroup, it's a little unfocused because each rapper needs a spotlight because that's just how they operate.
Yeah. Well, that would be if you got Chris Cornell and Frank Sinatra, and Amy Winehouse, and put them in a band and said go.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work. They
would just take turns passing the spotlight.
Yeah, and it would be
subconsciously try to outdo one another.
And if you did big rap group super groups with different people that weren't just rappers, not everybody has to rap. If you did somebody big doing the beats and somebody big doing the drums or the synths or whatever. There's this Dead Mouse.
Yeah, there's this indie band that I listen to called Death Grips. And that's their mode of operation. You got Zach Hill's a very established experimental musician, and he does the drums. And Andy Marin just, he produces. And then you got MC Ride to scream into a microphone for a couple hours.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I wouldn't have known.
So, but yeah, no, I get what you mean. I think the way that supergroups can work properly is if everybody is if it's mainly the vocal thing. Vocalists have this responsibility as the front man of a group. There are very few bands that people do not identify the band by the front man. Like Aerosmith. People I don't know the name of the drummer of Aerosmith, but I do know Steve Tyler.
The drummer is Van Halen.
The band?
Mm-hmm. The whole band.
The whole band's back there playing the drum set. They each get a drum. Yeah,
they're just back there playing. Not everybody knows that.
Okay, cool. Oh man,
I don't know why.
It's like the end of that Weezer concert we went to, where the whole band played the drum set.
Yeah.
It's just that for
what
every
if Weezer
concert.
Just did that for different bands.
It's like people in the audience for Aerosmith concert. They're just peeking around. They're there's 5 people back there. There's 6 people on the drum set.
Is that Eddie Van Halen?
Yeah.
They're the cymbals?
They're all just hunched together. They're is that Eddie Van Halen? He's kind of in the back. I can't really see it.
Oh my god, is that Chris Pratt playing the drums with Eddie Van Halen?
Yeah.
Just like a bunch of famous people play the drums.
God. Is that Stanley Tucci? What is he doing here? But it's like in the dark. Like it's the focus isn't there. But
so
it's
they're
just
not
like,
sure.
Like, I want to say that's Eddie Van Halen, but I just can't tell.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Is that Edgar Wright and Gumbo working on the drums?
And then Steven Tyler's like, shout out to my man EVH on the drums. And they're like, oh, I mean, it could be, but maybe it's not. EVH could be somebody else. You never know.
Oh,
it's like you keep getting clues. His bandana falls off at some point. It's like,
oh my god.
Anyway.
That's hilarious. Oops. Made a bit. I made a bit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I just like that. Who's the drummer of Aerosmith? Of Van Halen.
Oh, it was so dumb, but I loved it.
But yeah, no, you get what I mean. Like, there's being the singer of a band means you're the center of attention for most people, and that's a thing I've thought about a lot of times. Like, it's just human nature to gravitate towards the voice in a band.
Yeah.
Like, even if, there are a lot of good bands with, like, good guitarists and, like, just okay singers. Well, what you think about is, like, Slash did an album where every song was a guest singer, because Slash is the star of that band.
Yeah.
But that's not the norm, and it's just kind of unusual. So, yeah, and rappers, they can collaborate, but their instrument is their voice, so it's a little hard to collaborate when you're...
It's like having 5 trumpets.
Yes, exactly.
It's like, eventually somebody's just not going to care, or one trumpet is just a lot worse or loud or quieter than the rest.
And it's just, here's the thing, when you have so many rappers in a group, a song could have a certain vibe, but that might not gel with the vibe that all the rappers have. Like one rapper could be a standout performance, and they're like, oh, he was really bad on that track. But in actuality, it's just not the kind of music he likes doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose they have to all agree on things, but like, if you're a pop rapper, you really need to adhere to trends, to stay relevant if you're trying to stay relevant, so yeah, it's just this interesting dynamic that rap supergroups have. So,
do we want to talk about the Eminem Machine Gun Kelly beef?
Yeah, it's really stupid.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
What Machine Gun Kelly did was he put a picture on Instagram of this whole crowd with their middle fingers up. And he said something like, they disagree with you, Eminem, or something like that. And then, did you hear about this?
I mean, I vaguely know.
And then the backstory came out. What happened was Machine Gun Kelly, and in the picture, Machine Gun Kelly's wearing like he's wearing like an Eminem shirt or something, or like a shirt related to the beef. And, but his back's to the audience. And then what happened was he was playing a show. And he said in the microphone something like, I'm going to take a selfie. I want you all to put your middle fingers up. And they didn't know what was going on. And then he turned away from them and he opened his shirt. And he opened his button-up shirt and he had that shirt underneath it. And they took the selfie. And then when he turned around and revealed that shirt, they all booed him.
Really?
Yeah. He was not, very honest about that.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the beef is about.
Me neither. I think Machine Gun Kelly got called out on Eminem's newest album, but really, who cares?
Good point. Moving on.
Yeah.
That's all I actually have to talk about for music. Do you?
I've got a thing to talk about. Have
Awesome.
you heard
Let's talk about it.
the new Lady Gaga Bradley Cooper song?
What?
Have you heard the new? Okay, you know, are you familiar with A Star Is Born? That movie coming out with Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper.
Yes. Yeah.
The big song from that movie that was in the trailer. They released the full thing now, and there's a lot of Oscar buzz. People saying, "Oh, it's going to be the best original song at the Oscars," and it probably will because it doesn't have much competition this year. I listened to it. It's called "Shallow," and it's not good. Here's the thing: it's just as generic and safe and pandering as humanly possible. It's so transparent what they're trying to do to me. It's just like, let's just make something so formulaic that people have to like it. You know, it's like when I was looking at it, I was like, that's just, it feels so artificial. You know, it doesn't have a lot of passion behind it. It's just like, this is the computer algorithm determined this is what good pop songs are, so let's just throw this together. That's what it feels like. Right. And it's not a bad song, but it's not a good song either. It's just really mediocre. And I would be irritated if it won, but it probably will. Yeah.
All right.
That's all I have to say about it.
Sounds unfortunate.
It is.
Cool.
So,
you want to
do you
talk
have
about
any
some movies?
sandwiches you want to talk about?
Oh, what's the last sandwich? I probably had a peanut butter sandwich last. PB and J.
You know what? You know what we should do?
What should we do?
There was an episode of Multimedia Clubcast where we talked about food for about 45 minutes. Do you remember that?
Maybe.
And people got upset at us because they're like, this show's called Multimedia Club. That's not media. But we've rebranded now, and it's just called Purple Panda Podcast. So what we could do
is talk about bamboo for 3 hours.
Is we could talk about anything we want. We could talk about paper.
So I started the Michael Scott Paper Company.
Yeah. Dunder Mifflin. I'm today probably.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make some beer honey chicken because I've got some Guinness in the fridge.
Nice.
And
good start.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty good.
I'm probably gonna be at home and I'll probably drink Michigan Outboard Ale.
Sick.
Yeah, it's good beer. My favorite beer, to be precise.
I don't like beer unless it's in chicken. That's my thing.
Have you ever taken a cheap beer?
No.
Shoved it up a chicken's rear end?
Well, yeah.
Wrapped it in tin foil after you season her up?
But who hasn't?
And then shove it in a grill?
Oh, is that what I've been doing wrong? What you do is you know how you stuff the turkey at Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
You do a chicken like that, and you butterfly cut it open. And then you put a beer bottle in there, and you throw it in the oven.
Well, see, what we do, we do beer can chicken. And how you do that is you get a special stand where you put a beer in
This is a real thing?
This is a real thing. And you stuff it up the chicken's rear end.
Yeah.
You season it.
Yeah.
You wrap it in tin foil. You put it on the grill. You shut the grill. You need a big grill because it's whole chicken.
Yeah.
That's standing up in your grill. And you cook it, and it is tender, and it tastes fantastic.
So
but you have to drink like half the beer first and open her up. You know?
Okay.
Or pour it out, either or.
And it tastes like beer, I'd assume.
No, it just tastes good.
Okay.
My mom hates beer, and she loves beer can chicken.
Yeah, see, here's the thing with me. I don't like beer. Drinking beer, it's just gross. But I like a good beer cheese soup. So I'm thinking I'll probably like a good beer chicken.
Beer chicken's good.
Because my last chicken thing I tried was fantastic. It was a lemon basil marinated chicken.
Mm-hmm.
It is like the best chicken I've ever made. So I'm on a chicken kick, and I'm going to start
Chicken cake.
Kicking chickens and cooking them in the cooker.
Okay.
That's my thing right now.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. Great.
You want to talk about movies?
Nah.
Fair point. Let's talk about food some more.
What'd you have for breakfast?
Pizza. I had some leftover pizza.
Great.
Yeah.
I didn't have breakfast.
Cool.
I want to talk about movies.
Okay. Sounds good.
What's my movie of the week? You want to do your movie of the week first?
My... Oh, no. How about you do yours first?
You forgot! Oh my god!
I was like, sure.
Wow.
Okay. Here's the deal. I only watched End of the Tour last week, meaning I have no movie of the week, so I'm just gonna look one up and talk about it.
Okay.
So you go first.
I have a question. Did you ever pick The Dark Knight as movie of the week? Because we still haven't put together that list.
Oh man, I feel like I have to have, right?
I think
you know
you
how
did.
much I like The Dark Knight.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing, is like I almost did that today. But my movie of the week is gonna be the old 19 whatever Batman with Jack Nicholson.
Oh, cool.
The Tim Burton one.
Yeah,
Um,
were you reminded of it when we were talking about it last week, or is this just a you happened to see it type thing?
Did we talk about that last week?
Yes, we did. Not in length.
What?
You were talking about Darkman, and I was talking about how much it it came out around the same time as Tim Burton's Batman.
That's right. We did talk about. No, the reason why I bring it up is because I was just listening to this entire podcast about the Joker, and you know everybody loves the Joker, and I love this film. If it's good, Jack Nicholson's Joker. Watch it, man.
Yeah, behind the Dark Knight, it is certainly my favorite Batman movie.
Yeah, it's so stinking good.
I would almost argue it's better than The Dark Knight. I know that may sound like sacrilege, but for me, like, The Dark Knight's great.
As far as the movie, I can see that. As far as the performances, no.
No. Here's the thing. Oh, hey, I just came across Batman on my list. As far as... Okay, I love The Dark Knight. That's no surprise. Everybody knows I love The Dark Knight.
Everybody loves The Dark Knight.
It is my only real gripe about it, and that's not a gripe. It's exactly what the movie was trying to be, so it's not a bad thing, but down to personal preference, I wish it wasn't... Well, I can't even say I wish it wasn't, because it is good because it is. It is a pretty straightforward, grounded crime thriller. Like, a very standard crime thriller. And that's great and all, but Batman 1989 ends with Joker using parade balloons to gas the entire city. And then they have a fight out in a clock tower. And if I had to say one movie is more fun than the other, I would certainly say the 1989 Tim Burton Batman is more fun. The Dark Knight's a better movie, but you can't go wrong with the Tim Burton one.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of fun.
I mean, if you like Batman, if you like the Joker, these are two movies you should have already seen. Like,
yes.
Either way, like, they're just good.
And it's not like a better or worse comparison when you're talking about...
No, just different.
Talking about the Jokers involved. Like, Jack Nicholson plays a great Joker. Heath Ledger plays a great Joker. They're just different.
Yeah.
Like, it's Jack Nicholson really hams it up, and he does his best Jack Nicholson, and it really adds a lot to the character. And Heath Ledger is like a legitimately scary villain. So it's like,
Yeah.
It's down to personal preference. What do you like?
Yeah. And, you know, I love both of them, but I have a feeling we've already done The Dark Knight, so I feel it's time we give Batman 1989, you said?
Yes.
It's due. So yeah, that is my movie of the week.
Yeah.
With Michael Keaton.
I have a movie of the week as
and
well.
Jack Nicholson.
that I prepared ahead of time.
Neato.
I
don't believe you.
The 1992 John Woo classic, Hard Boiled.
Cool.
Because it is one of the best action movies I have ever seen. Have you ever seen Hard Boiled or any other early John Woo movie other than Face Off, which is not an early John Woo
Haven't
movie?
seen Face Off.
Ooh, okay.
Haven't seen John Woo.
Unpopular opinion, Face Off is not a bad movie, but it is certainly one of his worst movies.
I've actually heard that opinion around.
That Face Off is a good movie?
Yeah.
No, here's the thing. Face Off is considered a good movie. My thing is, it's not as good as everybody says it is. It's actually my least favorite John Woo movie I've seen. It's not bad, it's just not great.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, sure.
I think people... I think Face Off is strong with the performances. That's what people like about it. You have Nicolas Cage
there you go.
being really crazy. You got John Travolta as Nicolas Cage being really crazy. And that's why people like it so much, because two recognizable American actors are giving crazy performances. But from an action standpoint, it's really weak. And that's what I like about John Woo movies. Hard Boiled is just an action spectacular. You know, it's just so well put together as far as action goes. The final action sequence of Hard Boiled is like one of the coolest things you will ever see. When I saw it as a kid, I spent hours running around outside pretending like I was the protagonist of Hard Boiled because I thought it was so cool. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember doing that as a kid. After you saw like a movie that just hyped you up so much, you would run around like, I'm a ninja!
Yeah, for me it was the ending of Hard Boiled. I never saw the whole movie until a couple years ago, but when I saw it a couple years ago, I was telling people, I've never seen Hard Boiled before, but then when I saw that ending, I was like, oh, I've totally seen this. And it brought back memories, and I was like, man, such a good ending.
Yeah.
He's got like a baby, and he uses it to pee on people. Anyway, I don't want to spoil too much. Go check it out.
Okay. So, this week, you don't have any other movies to talk about?
Not really.
I actually have
Okay.
some more movies to talk about.
Oh, man, I could have done Surf Ninjas. Anyway, I'm going to put this away. Yes?
So, we're just going to do a quick rundown. The Conjuring 2, after my viewing of Conjuring 1.
Cool beans.
It's good for horror movies. It's pretty good. I don't like it as much as Conjuring 1, but it's still good. The second one has some flaws in its logic. She's able to weirdly teleport through floors because the power of Satan is compelling her. I don't know. It's dumb.
I mean, can't you teleport through floors?
I guess not.
It's like every once in a while I just feel Satan rushing through me and I just fall right through the floor.
That's literally what happens. I'm not kidding.
That's interesting.
And so there's some of that kind of stuff that I don't get. But it's not huge in this movie. Sure, ghosts, and you can explain it away with Satan, magic, and ghosts. But that's never been established. That wasn't really well established in this movie either.
What I heard, the main thing I heard about The Conjuring 2, and I saw clips of it, is people said that, okay, The Conjuring, as I understand it, I could be wrong, The Conjuring series is less on the fantasy horror side of things. The weird fantasy horror, out there crazy fantasy horror stuff that James Wan does is in the Insidious series. People said Conjuring 2 had a little bit of that weird Insidious fantasy horror seeping into it. Would you say that's correct?
Well, okay, so they also had this thing called The Crooked Man.
That's specifically what I'm referring to. I saw images of the Crooked Man, and it looks like it's from a 90s Tim Burton movie.
Yeah, well, and I'll be honest, it was awesome. I loved...
It's like stop motion, right?
Yeah.
It looks
super
weird.
I loved when he was in that... when the Crooked Man was introduced and when he was doing things. But he had absolutely no place in this movie except for to be scary.
He would have been more apt in an Insidious movie.
Definitely.
Right. Okay.
But it was so cool. I was happy to watch it, but I don't believe it belonged in the movie.
Okay.
Now that the Crooked Man and the weird, non-logical stuff that was happening, and I mean non-logical as in it wasn't put into the series until he just decided, yeah, we're gonna make her fall through the floor. That's non-logical to me. It doesn't have any purpose.
When you say fall through the floor, do you mean she phased through the floor, like,
yes,
matter-wise?
Yes.
What?
Yeah, no,
okay.
she just fell through the floor.
Okay.
She was originally sleepwalking, and then she tied herself to the bed, and then she just fell through the floor.
Great.
I don't get it.
Okay.
I don't, and that's where it started to lose me. I then proceeded to go to the theater with my aunt, my cousin, and my brother, and we watched The Nun.
I'm very curious to hear what you thought of The Nun.
Well, let me tell you what I thought. I thought if you eat Reese's Pieces, like 4 of them, and you really coat your mouth with that flavor, and then you eat like a handful of popcorn, it's amazing.
Great.
It's amazing.
That's your review.
It tastes so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's no joke.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, I was baffled. I was sitting there going, wow.
Great. So you had a good time?
It was it tasted wonderful.
Great. I take it by your...
No,
I take it your implication is The Nun is not very good.
I mean, I was more amused by the fact that I found this crazy thing out about Reese's Pieces and popcorn.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, that was amazing. Go try it at your nearest movie theater.
Preferably not at The Nun.
No, watch it at The Nun. You'll care way more about what you're eating. Okay, that's a little harsh. No, the Nun was okay. It wasn't as good as the second Conjuring for me. Okay. The logic is even less there.
All
right. Full spoilers on this, so if you want to see The Nun...
Honestly, I have never done this to you before. But... honestly, I may go see The Nun, so I kind of appreciate not full spoilers.
Oh, wow.
Because my thing is everybody's talking about James Wan's horror movies, the Insidious series and the Conjuring series, and everybody knows this is all the rage, and I've seen none of them.
Well, if you're gonna see The Nun, you gotta watch Conjuring 2, because that's where it's implanted. The Nun is implanted. Right. And if you're gonna watch The Nun, you really should watch the first one as well, because there's a tie-in at the end. So you really should watch those 3 together, and that's why I did.
All right.
So no spoilers then, I guess. But I am gonna say a couple.
If it's a thing that you don't think. Hey,
honestly, I don't think these are gonna ruin your experience.
Just go for it. Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I'm probably not gonna care too much about The Nun if I do see it. So whatever, just go for it.
Well, like, in the end, I don't think that this is what's gonna ruin your experience. I'm not gonna like give you the timing to set up the payoffs, and that's what horror movies are all about.
Yeah.
But I'm going to talk about some of the ridiculous things that didn't hold any sense to this movie and made this movie slightly worse than The Conjuring 2 for me. Early on, this entire movie is based back in time about...
I will say the overall premise and setting of this movie, it's like in a monastery or something, right?
Yeah, it's in an old castle that has been converted into a monastery.
That seemed cool.
That originally there was these satanic rituals happening in the basement, and then they got turned into a monastery to turn this unholy ground into holy ground, and then when bombs were being dropped in World War II, it shook up the ground and Satan came out. And Satan, not actually Satan, but a demon named Valak, who is the nun, comes out.
I'll say one thing about the nun. Super creepy.
Yes.
Super creepy design.
Fantastic design.
The nun is a fantastic movie monster.
She will haunt your dark room at night. She will
There's
do
something about a good old creepy nun.
Yeah. It was... Like, really, like, sometimes when I'm lying in bed at night, I'm just like, yeah, there could just be, like, a nun in that dark corner over there.
Yeah.
That's frightening.
So it pulled a Hereditary with you.
Yeah, definitely not as strong.
Oh, okay.
Dude, Hereditary fucked me up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Are you aware that you and I are weird for being so scared of Hereditary? Are you aware that
I'm okay with that.
Are you aware that nobody was scared of Hereditary?
I'm okay with that.
Apparently,
It got me.
When I talked to people afterwards, I was like, "Oh man, it was so terrifying." And I've not yet talked to somebody other than you that was like that hasn't been like, I don't know, I mean, it was a good movie, but it wasn't very scary. It's like I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
I lost hours of sleep after
Yeah,
seeing
no,
it.
that movie was messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think people give that movie enough credit for being what it was.
People give it good credit. I mean, it is a good movie, and I guess I can understand someone not being very scared of it. And I think it has merit other than its scares. Like the scares aren't what make it a good movie.
It's not. It's not scary in the normal sense,
right?
You know,
it's way more psychological
and just anxiety driven.
Yes,
scares. Like it's not about the jump scares. It's about just being so tense that you hurt. Yes. That made that movie so awful and so good.
And it has just enough psychological scares that and like just enough like paranormal shenanigans that it stays in your mind.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah. I love that movie.
Anyway, continue with
the Nun. So the evil gets shook by World War II, comes back. They have to pray. They have to pray super hard. But the start of the movie, I mean, I'm not gonna give away spoilers. But the start of the movie, there's a nun. She dies. Okay. Hangs herself out the window, and then this guy finds her.
It's pretty standard, yeah.
And puts her in the freezer.
Sure.
And then he goes back to his town. Then the Vatican sends a priest and this not quite nun lady. She like hasn't taken her vows yet. They send her. Go over there, check it out. They do. Spooky things happen.
Okay.
There you go. And then they win.
And that's the movie.
Yeah, but then they don't win. I mean, that's how horror movies go, right?
There's always
they win, but they don't win.
There's that Friday the 13th thing where at the end Jason jumps out of the pond.
Yeah, exactly.
That happens in like every horror movie.
Yeah, no, it's every horror movie.
Yeah.
Well, and you wouldn't have the nun in The Conjuring 2 if she was taken care of.
Every horror movie except Hereditary, in which there is no happy ending.
No, that was awful.
Yeah. You don't need that twist at the end because the ending is miserable already.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay.
So one of the big things that irritates me about this movie is, one, it takes more bizarre happenings, less logic, and it runs with it more. But it's not as cool as The Crooked Man. Like, The Crooked Man was really cool. In this, there's a scene where Valak is the demon that's haunting and spooking everybody, and it's supposed to take like the image of what you're most frightened of or something along those lines.
Oh, that's original.
Yeah, real. And so then this priest dude sees the image of this boy that he was supposed to save, and this boy...
Oh, I thought you were going somewhere else with that.
Oh my god, I hate you. So this boy spooks him, right? He gets scared. He runs away. He falls in a hole. Guess what? It's an open grave. The grave.
Okay.
The coffin. So he falls into a grave. So he falls into this hole. Falls into a coffin. The coffin shuts.
This sounds like the most generic thing imaginable.
Just wait. It shows a close up of the tombstone, which
it's his name.
It's his name. Even better, it pans out and the grave is covered with grass. It's been there.
What?
Yeah. So he starts ringing that bell. You know, they did it during the plague. So if people were buried alive, they could ring the bell and then they'd be dug up before they died from suffocation. So he's like frantically ringing this bell, and the girl's wandering around, finds it, and starts digging him up. Whatever. And the entire purpose of this scene is because I think James Wan had one cool idea for a spook.
Yeah.
And he's like, how do we get somebody in a coffin which is small and confined and already scary, like being buried alive?
Yeah.
But then they're helpless. They have a match. and then he's grabbed by the head. And that's not a spoiler because that was shown in the trailer.
Yeah.
He's grabbed by the head in the coffin
Yeah.
by a ghost.
Yeah.
And I think that's the entire reason why this scene was made.
So James Wan, well, should be, noted that this movie was not made by James Wan. It was...
it wasn't?
No, it was directed by a man who was not James Wan.
Oh, wow.
Hold on, let me figure this out.
Yeah, you look that up. So, after that scene...
But they had a concept for a spook, and they didn't much care how it happened logically.
Yeah, no, it was just going to happen.
Yeah.
And whatever. It was bad. That part was bad. I didn't like that part.
No.
And then...
It was produced by James Wan.
Okay, that's where...
And the story was by James Wan, but it was directed by Corin Hardy.
Alright, Corin Hardy, stop it.
Okay.
Anyway,
we've got a 27% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, that scene really irritated me, and I'm like, that was really dumb, and it doesn't really get brought up, and it's really seemed pointless. Waste of my time type of deal. There's also a scene where the main girl, I'm not going to say what goes on, but she's praying and she can't stop. And then something rips open her shirt from the back, so you don't see anything.
Good.
And then she gets lashed, and she gets an upside down star on her back, the Satan, whatever.
Yeah.
And
Pentagram.
Yeah. And it never gets brought up again.
Sweet. It's for the sequel.
It might be a setup for her getting possessed or something, but it's dumb. It doesn't make sense to me. Mm-hmm. She doesn't tell anybody. She's just ah. Okay, so I was like, that's dumb. I didn't like that. Yeah, there was just some of those little logic issues that I had with it. But otherwise, some of the spooks were pretty good. I mean, jump scary, but that's, of course, what you're getting yourself into.
Right. Was there any... I mean, it's a given that these James Wan produced horror movies will be laden with jump scares, but were there any non-jump scare spooks?
No, not really.
Okay.
I mean...
Because I'm always impressed... Oh, I was gonna say, I pointed this out when the trailer for The Nun came out. I showed you the trailer, and I was like... I pointed out a certain scare in the trailer, because it wasn't a jump scare. And
oh yeah, that scene with the nun
scene
behind her.
It's a scene, and then I was telling you this scene's really cool, and then watch this, and then it ends with a jump scare. Is that scene in the movie?
Yeah.
Just as it appears in the trailer?
Just as it appears.
Okay, I hate this scene because the initial scare of the scene is really subtle, and that's amazing. Mm-hmm. The camera pans away. And then it pans back, and the nun's just behind here. There's no, big music cue, and she doesn't even notice it. But the nun's just behind her, a ways back. And then she keeps walking, and the scene keeps going on. But the nun's just there. You know the nun's there, she doesn't know the nun's there. And I'm like, it's as simple as subtle horror gets. A 5-year-old could come up with that shot, but it's not a jump scare, and it is a little... spooky because there's not that release. You see the nun, but it's not oh god, there she is.
Yeah.
And then she walks down the hallway and she turns around and she looks right at the nun, but then it's obvious she can't see it. And then a thing just tackles her and there's a big boom noise. Charlie,
you scared the living daylights out of Charlie.
Charlie just freaked out when I did that. And then something tackles her, and there's a huge noise. So it just completely ruins it.
Yep, that happens.
And that happens in the movie.
There is one scene that I vaguely remember where she sees a nun who's hunched over in her supposedly locked room, and it's oh my god, why is that there? And it's really good at building tension. And then you get this wide shot of her sitting on her bed staring at this nun, and you don't notice at first. This is probably one of the best scenes. But the cross on the wall behind her, very small in this wide shot, starts to turn upside down.
That's a thing that happens in Conjuring too, right?
Yes.
That was
I thought that scene in particular was done very well.
I can picture what you're saying in my head, and I can imagine that being done well.
Yeah, no, and that part, probably was one of the best tension-building parts in the movie for me.
Right. To give an example,
Yeah.
like that reminds me of a good movie, Hereditary.
Oh my god. Actually, I take it back. There's another scene closer to the end. So you know those scenes in horror movies where people have to walk through like a room that are like a bunch of things are covered in cloths?
Yes, this happened in It.
Yeah, I hate
Yeah.
those.
No, yeah, me
I
too.
hate. They're so good at building that awful tension.
Yeah.
This movie has something like that.
Yeah. It's to the point where
what-
it's
yeah.
it's a little overused now.
Yeah, it's
because, like,
definitely
it's in
become
a
a
lot
trope.
of horror movies.
But it does a good job.
Yeah.
Dang, it does a good job.
No, yeah, because it's just a very simple device at building the tension. Because it's like if they're pulling sheets off things, it's like one of these things is gonna be a spook.
Well, he wasn't. They're not pulling anything off. He's just trying to get through, and
Yeah.
it does a good job at raising that tension.
Yeah.
But okay, so here's the part of the story
Yeah.
that you shouldn't care about the plot for this movie.
I care not at all.
Good.
Yeah.
So they have to seal the nun away. That's their entire point, right?
Mhm.
And guess how they're gonna do it? Take one good
With
guess.
flex tape,
You're so goddamn close.
holy tape.
You're so close.
Is it some sort of blessed mundane object?
I mean, I wouldn't say mundane. It's Jesus Christ's blood.
What?
It's
Okay, first of all, what? And second of all, how was I close when I said flex tape? Is there some equivalency between flex tape and Jesus Christ?
in this
blood?
movie, kind of, yeah.
Did they like put a paintbrush in it? They just like they like seal the crack.
You're so close. Like, okay, so literally how the evil gets out is there's this guy praying around this like stone circle in the ground, right?
Like your
And it cracks and it breaks open, and the only way to
your
shut it,
traditional portal to hell type thing.
yeah,
Right.
and the only way to shut it is to put Jesus's blood in the crack, and it just seals right up like flex tape.
It's Flex Seal.
Yeah.
it's Jesus Christ. It's like Flex Seal.
Yeah, no, so they have to get Jesus's blood, which is held in this glass, like almost tree ornament in a cross that has the blood in the cross. It's like a cross vial.
Yeah.
It's dumb. And so, yeah, they have to use that to send the evil back to hell.
That's a little insensitive, given how he died right on a cross there.
Yeah,
Like,
you know.
let's store this in a little tiny version of the thing he was killed with.
I mean, that's kind of like the whole joke about Christianity. Is
Yeah,
like, why
right.
do we keep putting the cross everywhere? If he came back, wouldn't he be
Yeah.
upset about that? It's a joke somebody's made. But yeah, so they have to use the blood of Jesus Christ.
The literal
save
blood
the
of
day.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Okay. I mean, I could get behind that.
and
That's like so stupid. I'm actually kind of okay
You know,
with it.
earmuffs, Colin.
Okay.
Plug your ears for a second. I want to talk about how. So this is complete spoilers for the very last bit of the movie and how they beat the nun. What ends up happening is that I'll tap you on the knee when I'm gonna tell you to come up. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. So what ends up happening is that the girl who was the girl, the nun girl, whatever, she ends up taking Jesus Christ's blood. Colin, make sure you're not listening. She puts it in her mouth, and then she goes right into the nun's face. That's how you beat evil.
Okay.
That's how you win. That's how you beat the evil. It's infuriating how stupid it is.
I didn't hear what you
That's
said, but I'm just
good.
gonna assume you said something dumb.
You're gonna love it.
All right, cool.
You're gonna laugh.
All right.
When I saw it, I laughed.
That's a surprisingly effective earmuff. I just took a blanket and a pillow and I just covered myself with them.
Yeah. So I was unbelievably baffled by that. That shouldn't have happened.
Cool.
But the rest of the movie was okay. The very, very ending, like how the evil's still there, has a really, really cool tie into the first movie that I personally enjoyed. And I'll probably end up
Is it-
following the series, not like super closely, but if no one comes, I'll see it. Like
So
Conjuring 3 when
is
that happens.
the ending like the lead actress, the demon takes the form of the thing she fears most, and it's Harvey Weinstein? Is that?
No.
I'm sorry. I don't think that was a good one.
No,
I
wasn't
feel
great.
like that was not a winner.
No, not quite.
All right.
Too soon, man.
Too soon. That's like almost old news at this point.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
But no, the first movie has the first and second movie have these endings where they show like the real life photos from the families and kind of what was going on at the time.
Yeah, because these are relatively based on true,
Relatively.
not true stories or true events. Because it's like the whole thing about these based on a true story ghost movies. It's like the reality was like a chair moved.
Yeah.
And in the movies, it's like a portal to hell opened, and all these demons
Yeah.
kill everybody.
Yeah.
So
Or you had somebody who was very, very mentally ill, and they just tried to murder somebody.
yeah.
And then they did an exorcist, and they were all better because they actually believed they were possessed.
Mm.
Sometimes. Anyway, so the first two movies, they did these kind of flashbacks, or not flashbacks, but photos of the real families involved.
Yeah.
But then the nun, what's the nun gonna do? They don't do that. And what do they do instead? They tie it to the first movie, which I thought was pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah. So that was neat. Bless you.
Well.
That's Sam.
Oh yeah,
sick.
we should have mentioned that Sam's sneezing a lot recently. So, if you hear a cat sneeze in the background, excuse us.
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah.
Bless me. Oh.
There he goes.
So I also watched Evil Dead again.
Cool.
And I also watched Evil Dead 2.
Cool.
Guess what?
Yeah.
Evil Dead 2 is a fantastic 30-minute short.
What?
It's not a great full-length movie.
Okay. I've never seen Evil Dead 2.
I am very disappointed.
I
I started watching Evil Dead 2, and I love Evil Dead 1. I really do. I think it's fun. I think it holds this place in my mind where, there's just some really fun movie-making choices going on.
Yeah.
And
yeah, Evil Dead's a classic.
yeah. And it holds you through the whole movie. But
Yeah.
Evil Dead 2 is starting to go to that campy side, and it works about half the time, which is unfortunate.
Was it like an awkward transitionary period from the tone of Evil Dead to the tone of Army of Darkness?
Very much so.
Okay, because
way too much so.
Army of Darkness and Evil Dead are on opposite extremes, and they're both great because of it. Evil Dead's just a full-on horror movie. Army of Darkness is this cheesy fantasy movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Evil Dead 2, I hear people say it's just kind of like the middle ground between the two.
Very much so, and it doesn't do a great job doing the horror.
Okay.
Basically, the actual funny parts, there are some legitimately dark humor, funny parts in it. The scene that I always remembered from when I watched part of this movie as a kid was when he has to fight his own hand, and that is hilarious. That entire scene is fantastic. But the rest of the movie, there's a lot of stuff that happens that just isn't interesting at all. And I'm really sad about it. I was so ready to love this movie, and I was just so let down.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it really is. But honestly, it really just makes me appreciate the first one that much more. Because, oh wow, it's the first one's so good. So yeah, I watched that. And then I finished off those horror movies with a good dose of Kung Fu Panda 3.
Wonderful. I haven't seen it. Is it good?
Now, have you seen the first one?
I've seen the first one, yeah.
Have you seen the second one?
No.
The second one.
People tell me the second one's better than the first one.
I don't know. I haven't seen the
Oh,
second
no.
one.
I have seen the second one. I'll take that
It's
back.
the one with the peacock, but
Yes, I have seen that.
I don't remember it that well.
Yes, it is better than the first one.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
From a like an action standpoint, it's better. Like it's like a legitimately fun kung fu movie.
All right.
Yeah.
I believe you. I'll probably end up watching it again because I really like Kung Fu Panda.
Oh yeah.
Jack Black is legitimately funny.
Skadoosh. Yeah.
Dustin Hoffman as Shifu is hilarious. Angelina Jolie is great.
Mm-hmm.
Jackie Chan as Monkey. Seth Rogen as Mantis. Lucy Liu as Viper. David Cross as Crane.
Oh.
All hilarious.
I just realized you're looking at your phone.
I could not have remembered all of those off the top of my head. I could have probably remembered like 3.
The two main things are Lucy Liu as the Viper and Jackie Chan as the Monkey. Those are.
Well, and I always remember Seth Rogen as Mantis because he sticks out so strongly.
Well, yeah, of course.
Because of that voice.
I could tell you Angelina Jolie is the tiger.
Yeah,
Tigress.
Same.
I could tell you Jackie Chan's the Monkey. I could tell you Lucy Liu's the Viper. I forgot Seth Rogen was in it until you said that, and then I was like, oh yeah, he is.
I couldn't have remembered Dustin Hoffman being Shifu, but of course he is.
Sure. Yeah, why not?
Really?
What?
Really?
Really?
Why
What?
not?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Okay.
It's Dustin Hoffman. What has he got going on nowadays?
I don't
other than
know.
Collecting welfare.
Yeah?
Oh, I'm sorry. Are my Dustin Hoffman jokes too edgy for this podcast?
I think so.
Okay.
But yeah, so 3 is about Poe finally meeting his real father and then finding his people.
Right.
By
okay.
people, I mean pandas.
Okay, yeah, I vaguely remember that's what the movie was about. I never saw it, but
And you know what? It's pretty good.
sweet.
I had a good time watching it. You know, some people might be like, it's not great, but I don't care. It was fun. I had a good time. The voice of Jack Black, or Poe's dad, is Bryan Cranston.
Good.
Which, of course, he is. Bryan Cranston is just everybody's dad.
Yeah.
Let's be honest
He's
here.
made a career out of playing dads.
Yeah, and he's just good.
Yeah.
And then the enemy is this, yak guy who has these dual swords that are on chains like Kratos' blades, but they're big and green.
Right.
And so he's cool. And he's played by J.K. Simmons.
Yeah,
Which
I
is
remember about
cool.
that. Right.
You know, I had such a good time with this movie. Like, it was... I don't know, man. Like, I don't feel like I should have had as much fun with this movie as I did. I mean, you got James Hong playing Mr. Ping, which is always good.
Well, it's just like...
Wayne Knight was in it, I guess.
Right. It's just... The Kung Fu movies are fun for kids, and they're also fun for, people like us, if we appreciate Kung Fu. Like Kung Fu Panda 2, there is a lot of love put into the action and the choreography and the set pieces. Like there's a lot of actual like Kung Fu prowess involved. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like the Paddington of action movies, where it's just like there's enough for the adult. There's as much for the adults as there is for the kids.
Speaking of stuff for the adults,
Yeah.
I just found out that the voice of Master Croc is Jean-Claude Van Damme. So there you go.
Well, there it
You
is.
just get a quick Jean-Claude in there, you know.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the Kung Fu Panda movies and you just want a fun time, watch them. They're good.
Yeah. Especially if you like Kung Fu.
Yeah.
If you just want to see like fun animated Kung Fu, it's just fun.
Yeah. It's good.
Also watch Kung Fu Hustle while you're at it, because that's a good movie and not enough people have seen it.
Yeah.
Also watch Kung Pao.
Alright. No.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to be watching next, but I know one that I kind of have on like the queue that I've been keeping an eye on, in line with the Joker kind of aesthetic.
Yeah.
I really want to watch the movie The Man Who Laughs. This 1920s movie, I believe, that came out, essentially inspired the Joker. Not essentially, it did. It straight up inspired the Joker. The creators of the Joker claim this to be kind of the big thing that made the Joker the Joker.
All right.
And if you go to Google Images and you type in The Man Who Laughs and you start looking around, this looks like the scariest kind of Joker I've ever seen. Like, it just looks frightening. Just legitimately scary stuff.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's not okay.
That yeah, I can see how that would have inspired the Joker.
Can you?
He just
Can you
looks
really?
exactly like the Joker. Except a lot scarier because it's like I got the 1920s thing going on.
Yeah. It's super scary looking.
Wow.
So yeah, I want to watch that.
Wow.
And since we're talking about the Joker, why don't we talk about the 2019 Joaquin Phoenix Joker that's coming movie out?
I want to bring myself to be interested in that, but it's just like, what's the point?
That's kind of where I'm at too.
It's like Joaquin Phoenix is a great actor, and he could do a good Joker. I'm sure he can. I don't care. Here's the thing. Heath Ledger as the Joker in The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight's a good movie even without the Joker in it. The Joker was just the cherry on top, and it was a fantastic performance in a very well-made movie.
That's like the best cherry I've ever seen.
There hasn't been a good DC movie since The Dark Knight, and that includes The Dark Knight Rises. So, I don't care. If this ends up being like a good movie, it'll be just the biggest shock of the century. Because the best that DC can do is Wonder Woman, which was not bad, and that's the best they can do.
Yeah.
The Wonder Woman was celebrated for being not bad.
Yeah, it's true.
It wasn't a great movie.
No.
It was just not bad. So I don't care. I mean, it's like the 12-year-old in me wants to get excited about a Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie, but the realist in me says, how is it going to be any good?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, no, I want it to be very good, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
who doesn't? Joaquin Phoenix, like, I don't really know. I don't know.
He's a good actor. I've liked him in many things.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see how this works. I'm gonna see it. Like,
Yeah, probably will,
besides, like, you know, will he, won't he? Yeah, of course I'm gonna go see it. It doesn't matter. It's a Joker movie.
Yeah.
It's mandatory.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
yeah.
basically.
You
know what I've been watching recently?
What have you been watching recently?
Wonder Boys. It's on Popcorn Flicks, and you can watch free right now. This episode's sponsored by Wonder Boys. It happened. It's
just wonderful boys.
Wonder Boys.
Wonderful boys come around, and they're just like, you know, guys, we'll give you some money for your troubles.
Wonder Boys is the prequel to Wonder Woman.
No. Sequel. She has kids.
Sequel. Oh, that's what Wonder Woman 2 is going to be. It's going to be Wonder Boys.
He just has, like, twins.
She has twin boys. And they're just in, like, Wonder Woman outfits.
Yeah, and she has to deal with them coming out.
Yo, if Wonder Woman
to
has
be a woman.
if Wonder Woman has kids, would they be like the first male half Amazonians ever?
Yeah. Not in the comics, but
Wild, dude.
Okay. Want to go on to TV?
Sure.
You watch any TV?
Yeah, I've been watching Mattis Yahoo.
I hate you.
I've been
Stop
watching
reading the ads off the TV.
We have a Roku screensaver on the TV, and ads keep coming up. And I've been contemplating bringing them up at some point.
Oh, I wish you wouldn't.
No, I haven't really been watching a lot of TV, if I'm honest with you.
I watched 4 episodes out of 8 out of 10 cats do countdown.
Yes.
It's a British panel show. It's good.
Yes.
I would suggest it to everyone.
Yes. Watch Taskmaster, but also watch 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown.
So yeah,
but mostly watch Taskmaster.
So that's fun.
Have you seen any more of Wellington Paranormal?
No, I want to.
It's a good one. It's the first season's over now, I think.
know.
So
I'm so behind. So I guess that leads us to just do video games.
That leads us to we're gonna take a quick break before we get to video games and pause the show. Because we gotta move upstairs to record the rest of this.
Alrighty then.
Yes. And then we'll do the remainder later.
Great.
Or in like a minute.
Cool.
See you then.
Neat.
Yeah.
I don't.
You know, Harambe wouldn't be as famous as he is if he hadn't stolen that child.
He wouldn't be that famous if he hadn't died as he lived, dragging a human boy across the zoo enclosure.
What a life. Okay, welcome back. We're up in the bad sound room.
Yeah.
It's going to be really echoey and bad. Sorry about it.
Is the mic working?
Nope.
Is it plugged in right?
Nope, hold on. Let me check. Yeah, it's working.
Alright. Here, let's center it a little bit. Maybe that's not center.
That's not center. That's
center.
just closer to you.
Yeah, that's it.
Can you tell we're 37 episodes deep?
No.
Okay.
Oh.
Video games. Oh, my dad's home. Whatever, we're gonna push through it. Video games.
Can't even get around it, my dude.
Video games. What have you been playing, my man?
Oh my god, I've been playing so many video games. So I gotta start with the biggest thing that's happened over the past week.
Yeah?
I finally, after 3 years of playing this game, have 100%ed Bloodborne.
Hey!
And I feel empty inside.
Well,
I no longer have a game that I can just open up and then just start working hard at.
well, pick up Stardew Valley. You'll never 100% it because you can't.
Great.
And you'll just always work towards a goal that doesn't exist.
That feels awful.
Yeah.
Can you stop?
Can I stop Stardew Valley? Not really. I mean...
Can you stop the company that makes Stardew Valley?
Yes. They've got another game coming out that's just like Stardew Valley, but with wizards.
Isn't that just Stardew Valley?
Yeah, well, with more wizards.
Oh, okay.
It's like a Harry Potter wizarding school type thing, but it's Stardew Valley.
It's like
Yeah.
Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Alright.
So looking forward to that.
But no, this was like a big thing. I've been trying to 100% this game for ages.
So you need something else to 100%.
And I finally did it.
Might I recommend Ratchet and Clank?
No, you
Okay.
you might not.
How about?
So you know what I did instead?
What'd you do?
I beat Wolfenstein New Order.
Sweet.
You know what I did after that?
Beat Wolfenstein 2.
No, I don't have that.
Okay, what'd you do?
I beat Bioshock 2.
Oh, cool.
And you know what I did after that?
2 Human?
No.
I'm gonna put this down.
Thank you.
Okay.
I started playing Hollow Knight.
Oh, good. I like that game.
I do too. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's got some Souls influence.
Yeah, it's so fun.
It's a good fit for you.
There's this like amazing monochromatic art scheme going on, and almost monochromatic. Almost. Yeah. There's color, but it's very minimal.
It's very muted.
And it's got this Metroidvania-ness to it. It's got the 2D platformer thing going on. It's got some good difficulty, like classic NES games, like the Dark Souls. It has this very high action combat like the Bloodborns. It's got this cute little protagonist that is awesome and I love it. It's got a monetary system filled with coolness. It's got a fast travel system with a bug that you ride. I played this until like 3 in the morning.
It's a great game.
It's really fun.
I actually never beat it because I got to a point where I'm not hitting a difficult part. I just don't know where to go. And every time I pick it up and try to figure out where to go, I always get distracted and I just don't. So I'm just kind of perpetually not playing that game.
Well, and that's the thing is like when you start this game, it's interesting because it doesn't give you a map.
No, yeah,
right
you
away.
just have to figure. It's what's kind of cool is you have to like manually map out the area.
Basically,
kind of
yeah.
neat. Yeah.
You know, you have to go into new areas where you've never been. You don't have a map, and then when you get to a bench,
yeah, then
can
the
sit.
areas you've been to can get mapped out.
Yeah, you sit and then you record it. But to do that, you first of all have to buy the map from the cartographer.
Yeah.
Then you have to go to the cartographer's wife, who has opened up a shop in the first city, and then buy an ink pen so that you can then draw out your own map.
Yeah.
And then you can buy like stamps from her, and those will show where like benches are, fast travel stations are, you know, shops, etc., etc. And so basically, it's this interesting way of showing, you know, people that like if you're really good at this game, you don't need a map. If you get good at it, like you don't need to do any of this kind of stuff. And I think that's really interesting.
Yeah. The ability to map out the whole world is a privilege, not a right.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like if I accidentally refused to buy the map from the cartographer the first time I talked to him, and he says something along the lines of exploring the unknown and not having a guide is mighty like brave of you and like it's a formidable thing to do. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, it kind of is. That's kind of an amazing thing to think about.
I probably wouldn't ever play that game without a map because I feel like it would get super frustrating. But
you would be so lost, especially you know, all the areas that I've been into and I just started look the same, basically.
Yeah, you get to different environments later in the game that do look visually different, but it's not for a while.
Okay. Because, yeah, like, as far as I've gotten, everything kind of looks the same, so...
Yeah.
So I could see where getting lost could happen real quick.
Yep.
And actually, that's one of the things I was worried about before I got the map, is I'm just wandering around, I'm like, how am I ever going to know how to get back? I'm going to forget. And I legitimately thought for a second, maybe I should pull out a pen and pad of paper and start mapping out this game. Until I found the cartographer, and he's like, hey, you want a map? I'm like, yes, please, dear God, yes.
Yeah.
Which, thank God, you know, it gives you a map. But it was an interesting idea to bring you back to those classic NES days where you actually have to sit and map your own progress through the game. And if you don't, you just don't get a map.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of neat.
Yeah, and I want to touch on, in our little mini review of Hollow Knight, I want to touch on what you said about the art style. That's like the biggest draw for the game for me. It's this really oppressive, dark, bleak atmosphere, but it has these little hints of cuteness here and there that just keeps things interesting. And it's just this it reminds me of like a really dark Miyazaki movie. Like a really dark Studio Ghibli type thing. You kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's got that kind of feel to it, especially the big what is it, like a beetle? Is that the fast travel thing? What do you ride around on?
Yeah, steak beetle.
Yeah, right. It's just whimsical.
Yeah, it's very neat, and I would suggest it to anybody right about now.
It's this weird. There's a lot of games that are kind of like this. It's this weird combination of like kind of cutesy art style and like a really dark world. Like the top side, like it's all underground because the top overworld top side is just this howling wind wasteland where it's always dark out. And underground is like the only place where things can survive. So it's this really oppressive world but it's just got a lot of character and personality, and it doesn't get overwhelming.
Almost was overwhelming, actually. Like the first part where like you're just wandering, I felt very lost.
Yeah.
And then I would run into this massive enemy that would just, take so much health in one hit, and then I was just like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
And, it really does hold this feeling of adventure and exploring that, you don't get in a lot of video games nowadays.
Yeah. Right.
That I was very happy with. And that can be very, very hard for some people to be put into. Like, a lot of people don't want to be put in that situation. It's stressful, and that's kind of the point. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I miss those. Like,
sure,
being put in that kind of environment, even if it's not for very long, they give you a map eventually, you start figuring it out. But you have to adapt, and that's what I really wanted, and it's what I got.
Yeah. It's cool beans.
Yeah, so I'm totally down to play way too much of this game tonight.
All right. Maybe I'll have to come back to it, see if I can beat it. It's one of those games where it is pretty difficult, but I've been able to, handle it for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in fact, this is a genre of games where there are some games that people consider really frustratingly difficult that I've played and had not many issues with. So maybe this is just where I'm good at things. I don't know. Like, an example was, I was going to recommend, have you played Ori and the Blind Forest?
No.
I would recommend it. When you're done with Hollow Knight, if you want a very similar game, play Ori and the Blind Forest. It's a lot of its difficulty comes from platforming segments. I don't think there's really any major boss fights. I could be wrong about that. I haven't played it in a while, but it's really difficult platforming that I'm actually pretty decent at. So, yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things is like, you always talk about how you don't like playing hard games, but you are such a big fan of Mega Man.
Yeah. I guess it's just specific kinds of hard games. Like, Mega Man X is pretty punishing, but I like it a lot.
Well, and it's really weird, because Thomas is kind of like that, too. Like, he's not a big fan of super hard games, but he loves Mega Man, and he's good at it.
Yeah.
I'm
pretty decent at Mega Man myself.
Yeah, you are. We beat the first one.
Yeah.
And then Thomas and I beat the second one.
My big thing is Cluster Truck. I'm kind of an idiot savant when it comes to Cluster Truck.
Well, except for that last stage.
Except for the last stage, but to be fair, that last stage can go screw itself.
Yeah. I feel like I should almost go back and try again, but dang, I hate that stage.
Yeah. I just never finished it. I was just like, you know what? This is getting me too hot. I needed to go take a break and come back.
Super.
Yeah, and then
hot.
Super Hot's another one that's pretty difficult that I'm actually pretty good at. So I do like certain difficult games. Hotline Miami sticks out. Hotline Miami is my absolute jam, and some people were like, it's too hard for me, and I was like, that's weird, because I don't consider myself to be into hard games, but Hotline Miami, Super Hot, and Cluster Truck are the kind of, I guess it's just all like fast twitch reaction games, except for Super Hot, very slow reactions in that one, but, that's my bag. That's the kind of difficult game I like, not your Dark Souls or your Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter's not hard.
Or the Barbie.
Question, is Monster Hunter hard?
Yes.
Is it?
Sure.
Have you ever played it?
No.
Oh, okay.
I just assume. I don't know.
I wouldn't say it's hard.
Okay, fair enough.
You fight big monsters, but you get really big weapons too, so it evens out.
Okay.
Alright.
I was a fan of the difficulty curve in Horizon Zero Dawn, and I like games that are difficult that you can like master and like
Dark Souls.
Right, but like I don't have the patience to master that. Horizon Zero Dawn is kind of like Dark Souls light.
How much time have you put into Borderlands 2?
At least 300 hours.
Okay, so not enough patience?
No.
Okay.
I have no patience for games.
Just making sure.
I've put about 300 into Stardew Valley as well.
Yeah, not enough patience.
But Stardew Valley doesn't even require patience. It just requires, well, I guess it does, because you have to wait for things. But it's not like, there's no difficulty curve in Stardew Valley.
That's fair.
There's no I mean, I would argue Borderlands is kind of the same way. It's not very difficult. It's just a grind.
I mean, you can treat Dark Souls like that,
The
too.
never-ending grind.
You could literally treat Dark Souls just like that.
Sure, but Dark Souls... When I play Borderlands, I don't get wiped off the face of the map by the first enemy I encounter.
Well...
I would argue Dark Souls is a far more difficult game than Borderlands. Borderlands is comparatively pretty easy.
You know what I would say nowadays, now that I've played Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, and Bloodborne? I would say, depending on how you like to play,
Mm-hmm.
if you like to play offensively, obviously, start with Bloodborne.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But if you want to get into the Dark Souls series, I would legitimately suggest starting with 3.
Okay.
Which is kind of weird. You know, a lot of people wouldn't suggest that because a lot of people who want to get into Dark Souls want to get into it because of the story and not necessarily because of the gameplay.
What? I've not heard of one person saying they like the story of Dark Souls. Everybody talks about the gameplay.
Well, you're wrong. The
Am
story's
I?
where it's at, son. And Fashion Souls.
I have never... Yeah, I've heard of Fashion Souls, but I have never heard somebody talk about the story of the Souls series in a positive light. I've never heard anybody say it's bad. It's just... The general consensus is that it's just kind of convoluted and confusing, and most people don't really care about it.
The general consensus among the Souls community is that it's this amazing...
Well, the Souls community is a bunch of weirdos. I'm talking about normal people.
Yeah, you're talking about people like me.
Sure.
Among the community, it's this amazing in-depth tale that is, you know, somewhat convoluted, but it's amazing, like how it's woven together and how the entire environment kind of displays this story, as well as, you know, item descriptions and boss fights and the characters themselves, like how they act.
Right.
It really does tell this compelling tale, you know?
Sure.
It's difficult to find, but it's there, and it is amazing.
Okay.
And yeah, that's big in the Souls community, is the story of Dark Souls.
Well, yeah, because the Souls community have lost so much of their humanity to perfecting every minuscule frame of the entire game that, like, that's all that they can that's all that they can be interested in, because they're just so far gone that they're just like, yeah. It's like when you get so good at sports that all you can do to challenge yourself is try to memorize the dictionary. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's all you have. You're just like, well, yeah, I guess I'll do this other thing.
But no, Dark Souls is taught in classes on gaming on how to tell convincing and good stories.
That's not good.
Yes, it is. How would you know? You don't play them!
I've played of Bloodborne, right? I saw that opening cinematic, and I'm like, sweet, I don't know what's going on. And I've seen enough of the Souls series to know that it is probably pretty well written, but it's like, the story's a mess, and it's just sort of, you know, fantasy concepts just out there.
See, I disagree completely.
Okay.
I think the story is woven completely intentionally and completely masterfully done by almost an evil genius.
Okay.
I think he does such a good job making a compelling story and not shoving it in your face through dialogue box after dialogue box after pickup of an audio tape that has gotten so old and so sickening that finally we have a new way of telling stories, and it's amazing.
Well, it's like I will grant you that it's the story's told with the environment. Like that's a good thing. I don't tend to think that the Souls series is like genius in its storytelling. I just think it tells a relatively cliched story in a pretty interesting way, in that it's really subtle and not shoved down your throat.
It does. The way it's told is what makes it interesting. What's happening doesn't really matter as far as the storytelling.
Okay.
It's like the idea. Mandy.
Yes. Yeah, no,
Mandy.
I
This
can
is
say,
the Mandy of video games.
Sure, right. It's not the story, it is how it's told. Sure. Okay, I can see that.
And, it's so different and so not the norm, and it does such a good job with it. And the best part about it is you don't need to read item descriptions if you don't want to. You don't
That's
need...
good, because I can't read.
Great. You don't need to interact with the story at all to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
You might like it more if you do, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
And that's perfect for people who just want to play the game. And they do.
Cool.
But for those who want more, for those who want in-depth knowledge of the lands and the people and those involved, you can build the world of Dark Souls off of the series of Dark Souls if you want to dig deeper.
Cool.
There is way more than just this simple story of a dying age happening within Dark Souls.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't care about that, you don't have to care about that.
Sick.
It doesn't make you, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to my original point. Dark Souls 3, great entry point if you want to get into Dark Souls. The combat is really tight.
Mm-hmm.
The story, pretty good. The game itself, I would say, is less hard than any of the other games, including Bloodborne.
All right.
Overall, like as far as difficulty goes, it has some of the least difficult main story bosses, areas, but this game also has some of the hardest things in the entire series of Soulsborne, but they are mostly optional or DLC related content.
Okay.
So yeah, if you want to get into it, Dark Souls 3.
I won't.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm mainly saying for anybody else out there.
Yeah.
Because I figured you wouldn't. So.
No, definitely not. it's like I said, I respect that series, but it's just not for me. That is not the kind of difficulty I can do. It's, yeah.
I think it is, though. I think it is. I just don't think you're willing. I think that's where it is.
I'm not willing because it just completely kicks my ass every time I try to play it. Like it's so punishing and not rewarding that I'm just like, eh. I know it gets rewarding the more you work on it, but it's just like, I don't know, I play games to have fun. That's like kind of a weird concept to some people apparently, but I
find Dark Souls immensely fun.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's fun for you, but it's not fun for me. When I play it, I just get frustrated. And it's not fun. I'm just sitting here, I'm like, I'm just dying at the same part over and over and over again. I'm not having an ounce of fun. I'm going to go play a fun game now. So that's why I don't play the Souls series. It's because it's just too hard to be enjoyable for me. Like, I have fun with a game like Hotline Miami because it is very, very difficult, but in the most fast-paced way imaginable. You can die and respawn in just a split second, and when you die, you're just already back at the next attempt, and it's just you don't in Bloodborne. It's always frustrating when I like work through the same area that I've worked through like 20 times before, and then I get to the same boss that kills me in the same way. And then I have to I have to go through it again, but now I have less resources to do it with. It's just too involved. And then after a while, I just say screw it, and I just play something else. So it's just really not my thing, and I'm disappointed that it's not, because I feel like I'm missing out on a really fun series, but it's just I don't enjoy it, and I'm not going to force myself to go through it. So that's just my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I do enjoy though is Spider-Man. Do you want to finish this out by our third weekly Spider-Man updates?
I mean, I've already said what I've said about it.
Okay,
unless we want to like completely spoil the ending now.
Jeez, I'm considering it. Do you want to go full spoilers this week? We've talked about it 3 weeks in a row.
Okay
At this point, if people can just not listen if they haven't been it.
Alright, so full spoilers on Spider-Man. If you
Sick.
want to play it yourself, leave now. Full spoilers, here they come.
And this will be the episode closer, because, yes, alright.
So yeah, if you haven't played Spider-Man, you want to, and you don't want to be spoiled, shut this off.
Yes.
Right now.
I hope you enjoyed. Okay, let's get into spiders, man.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, Aunt May dies.
Yes.
And it's super sad.
That was genuinely a really, really upsetting part. And I gotta say, I think earlier on I said I didn't like the voice actor of Spider-Man all that much. And that's because I had only seen him delivering smarmy romantic comedy dialogue. After seeing the end of the game, I take all that back, and he does a fantastic job.
Yep.
He does an amazing job voice acting wise in the end, because there's a shot when and there's that scene where like he has the cure and he can cure Aunt May, but if he uses the cure on Aunt May, then there won't be enough cure to replicate it, and like hundreds of people could die because they don't get that cure in the homeless shelter, and she's just about to die, and he just goes over to plug the cure in, and then he just can't, and then there's this wonderful cinematic shot of her dead on the bed and him in Spider-Man costume with the mask off, and he's just kneeling at her bedside and just sobbing, and it's like, wow. This is a fantastic ending. And then Miles Morales turns into another Spider-Man in just one of the most underwhelming scenes in Spider-Man history. I was like, well, okay, there is that, I guess. And then the Green Goblin reveal at the very end, of course, and it's like...
Well, okay, so that part right there may actually be either a hint to Green Goblin or a hint to Osborn creating Venom.
Venom, okay. Well, I wasn't sure if it was Green Goblin or Venom. It could have been
It really can go either way.
Yes, right.
Which is interesting.
There is
or both.
Sure.
Venom Goblin.
Because there is because I don't know much about the Spider-Man canon. All I know is in the Spider-Man canon I know, there's a canon that I know in which Harry Osborn becomes the Green Goblin.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I thought that's what it was, and then I saw him in that tank, and it's like, it looks a little bit like Venom. Is Venom also a thing that Harry Osborn becomes? Or is it going to kind of change it up for this?
I don't remember. But there has been a version of Venom that was created on Earth and not an alien.
Right.
And that may be what we're leaning towards. Or
I'm gonna guess it's going more Green Goblin, because knowing what I know about the Spider-Man lore, that would make more sense.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it would. But I don't know, it was just so tenderly.
Yeah, right. It did have a Venom quality.
And maybe they're gonna, like I said, maybe they'll do both. A Green Goblin and a Venom thing at the same time.
That'd be kind of sick. Green Venom.
Oh my god. And then you could have, like, Parker fighting Harry as Green Goblin and Miles Morales fighting Venom.
And they don't know they're fighting the same guy.
That could be kind of cool.
Yeah. So, what's interesting about this is there's a very clear sequel bait at the very end there. And so I'm guessing we're getting a Spider-Man 2 in which there will be two protagonists, Miles and Peter.
Or maybe Peter will finally retire and it'll just be Miles, like in the comics. Could go either way.
The cynical part of my brain says two protagonists so they can introduce co-op multiplayer.
What I would really like is if they did two protagonists and Peter dies by the hands of, Harry or Venom, doesn't matter, I don't care.
Right.
Which could, if he dies from the hands of Harry, that could be amazing as far as, like, emotional tension. and then Miles Morales has to go and then avenge his fallen friend.
Has that happened in any of the comics? And has Peter died and then Miles has taken up the Spider-Man mantle? Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I think there was one where Peter's retired, and then there was one where Peter died. So yeah, that's definitely happened.
Sweet.
And I'm kind of hoping that's where we're gonna go.
Can I just say, I was fully expecting Mary Jane to die in this game, and I'm kind of surprised she didn't. And I was hoping that she would die because I wanted to see how they did it, because the Mary Jane... Oh, no. It's not Mary Jane that dies of Peter Parker's radioactive semen, is it?
She does.
Okay.
In a weird alternative universe.
And if you don't know what I'm talking about, that is a real thing.
Yeah.
She dies because she gets irradiated from repeated exposure to Peter
she
Parker's radioactive semen.
Yeah, she gets cancer.
And that is what the Spider-Man comics are like, apparently.
Some of them. Some of them.
Some of the weirder ones.
Yeah. Okay, so everyone knows that Catwoman is vaguely in this game. And by vaguely, I mean
Catwoman.
As a character, not Catwoman. Black Cat is vaguely in this game. I always say Catwoman. Same thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't fucking matter.
She's just Catwoman, basically.
She's Gwen Stacy. There you go.
She's a cat burglar who is a woman and has and wears skin tight latex and has a cat thing going on. It's just Catwoman.
Yep. So she has been referenced to in this, and she has been said to be coming out in the next DLC that is happening next month, I believe. So that's happening, or is it the end of this month?
Yeah, because her mission series in the game is a little lackluster.
Yeah, you just find a bunch of stuff, take
and then,
pictures, and then you find her hiding place.
And she's not there, and it's just like, oh, well, okay.
Yeah. So she is coming back in the DLC. It has been announced. And I would love for her to be introduced, and then, not in this game, but in the next game, or in the end of the DLCs, either or, be killed off, like Gwen Stacy was killed in the comics. Because that was a big moment for Peter, and I think that could be very interesting if she gets introduced in this game, put into the second game, killed off, he goes on a hell-bent revenge quest, kind of, firing from the hip. He ends up dying because of that, and then Miles Morales has to become the bigger, better person. I think that could be so stinking cool.
Yeah. And, honestly, I want to say that they're not going to go that direction because...
Probably not.
Well, but here's the thing, I was impressed by the story in this game because earlier on in the game, I was just getting the sense that it's like, this is going to be a pretty lighthearted game, and it's like, because for the first 2 hours, all you're doing is just doing wacky shenanigans with Spider-Man. There's no real huge threat. You're just taking down petty criminals for the most part.
Well, except for the huge Fisk thing.
What?
The first 2 hours where you beat Fisk?
Oh, well, yeah, right. But that's that's not a dark storyline. That's just you're taking down a big villain.
Intro. Yeah.
Yeah. But then it rips off the Dark Knight, and then it becomes a lot darker after the bombing sequence.
Yeah.
And I was like,
straight up terroristic attack.
I was like, sweet. I was way more into it after that because I was like, I like the lighthearted Spider-Man stuff, but to a certain extent, I also appreciate that this story went to dark places at times, and yeah.
Let's talk about a little guy named Otto Octavius.
Yes, his arc.
Let's talk about his final arc.
His arc is really abrupt, which is kind of bothered me. It's just he's just full on Dr. Octopus now, but he is still an interesting character by the end.
Ending cinematic
with him and Peter in the building
got me.
I was like, man,
that was rough.
Yeah.
That was really rough. Like, that's the closest I think I've come to a video game and been like, wow, this is, like, actually emotionally tense.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's just a cutscene.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But, like, as far as it goes, like, that was a pretty dang good cutscene. Like, the content involved. Like, you have Octavius lying there with his broken tentacles and being like, I thought we were gonna rule the world together, Peter!
I knew you would betray me like everyone else.
Oh my god, he's like, betray you? I loved you!
Yeah, it was super
so sweet.
emotional. It was like, wow, man. And I loved the way the story went in the end. And then it had a solid end point, and then jeez. Okay, there was like a couple things I was like, that was a little awkward and not very well executed. Firstly, the MJ and Peter get together scene in the end was a little weird. I mean, it's just like, it's like after all this time, and she's like, you want to stay over my place? And then he is like, oh yeah, if you want to. And she's like, I always want to. And they kiss, and it ended. I was like, well, okay. They had some legitimate like problems throughout the game, but they didn't really get resolved. And then they're just like, oh, I love you now. And it's like, oh, sure. And then like I said, I hinted at the Miles Morales reveal at the end is super awkward and not very well executed in my opinion. And I was like, okay, the game's ending of its major story is really good, and then it has a really sloppy dismount after that, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I guess it has to be that way because, like, they're like...
What, you didn't like that really, like, not good puberty joke?
Yeah, right.
My body has been changing and doing some weird things, and Peter's just like, oh, yeah, no, I guess you're kind of at that age, Miles. Yeah. And Miles is like, no. And then he jumps on the ceiling.
And then,
isn't that weird?
And then Peter jumps on the ceiling. It's like, not that weird. And then it ends. And
and that's the end of the game.
Okay. Sure.
And then they both just smile at each other. And like,
that reveal could have been done in so many better ways.
Yeah, it really could have.
But it's like, whatever. They got to set up the sequel somehow, so I'm cool with it.
Well, because, like, what a dumb way to be like, I have spider powers now.
Yeah.
And Peter's just like, okay, yeah.
I got spider powers, too.
Yeah, like, Peter's not very surprised at all.
Yeah, right. He's just like, I got spider powers.
Miles is just like...
Like, Peter immediately blows his cover. He sees that, and Peter doesn't even try to think about what to do next. He's like, okay, I'll just reveal myself as Spider-Man.
Like, I guess we're both Spider-Man.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. It's just like, whatever.
Didn't you know? Everyone has spider powers.
Yeah, no. Imagine what Miles is thinking. It's just like, wait, everybody has this? Because you have to understand, Miles has no clue that Peter Parker's Spider-Man at this point. I mean,
no,
that's how he finds out that Peter Parker's Spider-Man, because Peter Parker jumped on the ceiling right in front of him.
I mean, like, wouldn't that be hilarious? He's like, yeah, no, Aunt May taught me this when I was 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Mary Jane, she's been swinging around since the age of 8.
Can I just say, how does nobody know that Peter Parker's Spider-Man? There are so many scenes where, when he talks to Miles that one time, as Spider-Man, when he teaches him how to fight in the alleyway, I was like, Miles knows Peter Parker at this point. He knows what Peter Parker sounds like, and he knows what he looks like, basically. How does he not see this man in a suit and it's like, you sound exactly like Peter Parker? Because he doesn't disguise his voice at all. He just sounds like him.
I know, but we don't want another Batman conundrum, do we?
Yeah, I suppose.
I mean, in the end, it's just better to say comic disbelief.
Right.
Instead of getting another, where are they?
Oh, I did actually kind of appreciate the fact that Aunt May just knew he was Spider-Man, and she just wasn't telling him, and Dr. Octavius also knew. But it was kind of, that both of those were supposed to be dramatic reveals, but I laughed a little bit, because it just shows how ineffective his disguise is. You might as well just not wear the mask at all, because people just know. And then the one person who he's managed to dupe, somehow, he just blows it right in front of him. Miles. So it's like, and like Mary Jane knows, like everybody knows he's Spider-Man. And
Well, yeah, but he was dating Mary Jane.
Yeah,
so he's obviously just like, yeah, no, I'm Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
gotta impress her somehow.
I mean, I don't think he has any other friends, so he doesn't need to tell anybody else.
Yeah.
Just Mary Jane and Aunt May.
Yeah.
And now Miles.
Well, he didn't tell Aunt May.
Well, yeah, but like
she found out.
She definitely even know. Yeah.
It's safe to say she basically knew the whole game.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, Spider-Man. It was good.
Eat. Oh, and then Martin Lee is the other thing.
Yeah, he was okay. He was a troubled guy.
He also should have known who Spider-Man was. The thing, Martin Lee was a cool character. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's a very cool character. But notice how there was no resolution with him. That was kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
Like I didn't even think about it because I was so wrapped up with the whole Octavius confrontation that at the end I realized Octavius came in and he just knocked Martin Lee out of the way, and then that's the last we see of Martin Lee. He's just not in the story again after that.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird given that he's the main villain for 90% of the game.
Yeah. Guess what?
Yeah.
He was just a ruse. Just like the ruse skis.
Yeah.
The ruse skis. I hate myself. It's a red herring. And then Peter goes home and sleeps with his wife.
Yes. You shouldn't say that because the only time Peter goes home with somebody after the end of the game is when he goes home with Miles Morales. You know that.
Did I stutter?
Okay.
He's old enough, right?
He's like 15.
Is he 15?
He's like really young.
God damn it.
Well, like, Peter feels the need to have the puberty talk with him.
Oh, crap, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I take it all back. I didn't know. I'm like, okay, yeah, he looks old enough. I'm sorry. I should have asked.
Well, he's probably played by like a...
Shut up!
Like a 20-year-old.
It's not helping.
So, you know.
No!
Whatever. Hey, it's 2018.
It's not okay. I'm sorry. I take it all back.
Anyway. That's it.
Spider-Man was good.
Oh, I was going to say, gameplay-wise, I'm not a fan of the way they did the bases. Because it's just kind of like each type of base, each one is like the same. Like you have the 4 kinds of bases, and each one from base to base of that faction is just kind of copied and pasted from the last one with a couple minor changes.
Yeet.
And that's like, I think that was just like a time restraint type thing where they're like, well, we just gotta spread it out. Like, we made one base and we'll just put it everywhere. So
they were like too busy making good web mechanics.
Sure, yeah. The thing is, the combat is so varied that it's not a big deal. But it's just, that is one thing where the Arkham series beats out Spider-Man when it comes to like polish and level design. The Rocksteady, they know how to do good level design. In Spider-Man, they know how to make one good level, and then they're like, let's just put that everywhere. So, it was a little disappointing when I just realized that all the bases are the same. But it didn't bother me that much, because combat's still fun, so whatever.
Yeah.
They'll probably improve that in the sequel, I'm sure. This is kind of like a proof of concept, I think, and then the sequel, they'll like really flesh it out.
Boy, I hope so.
So anyway, let's call it an episode, because it's almost 2 hours long, and I'm trying to shorten these up, but it never works. So, do you have anything else to talk about?
Oh, I was gonna give a brief thing of Wolfenstein. It was fun if you like Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
If you don't.
Yes, I agree.
BioShock 2
It's pretty good.
was a improvement on every level but story.
Yes. Bioshock
and atmosphere.
Bioshock 2 plays a lot nicer than the first Bioshock. On a gameplay level, it's far superior. But it's... I've always said this. I could write a paper on this phenomenon. It's the Bioshock 2 syndrome. Where a horror game ceases to be scary when you're playing as the threat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Bioshock 1's kind of freaky because you're, susceptible to damage. I mean, you are as well in Bioshock 2, but you're playing as a big daddy in Bioshock 2. It's like playing an alien game where you play as the xenomorph. It's not scary because you're the predator.
But on the other hand, I gotta give credit to the first time they introduced the Big Sisters, which are the new scary thing. It was legitimately frightening the first time.
Sure, yeah.
And then it wasn't so frightening the rest of the times.
Yeah. Well, I like the way they did the Big Sisters too, because there's this there's this psychological element to it, because when a sister is coming, you're told that they're coming, and there's you can't escape, so all you can do is just prepare.
Yeah, no, it says prepare yourself, a big sister is coming.
Yes.
That's all it says.
That's a pretty good psychological horror element, where it's just oh no. When a big daddy shows up in the first Bioshock, you just wander into an area and you hear that thudding sound, and you're like, ooh.
Or you turn a corner and he's there, and you're like,
yeah.
And you back up, because they're not
invincible, but they're
no. They don't aggro on sight. They aggro on damage.
Yes.
So I think.
But when when the big sister comes, it's going to try to kill you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think what would have been really cool is if they would have done a Bioshock 3 where you have big daddies and you have big sisters. And imagine you...
Well, no, I mean, that was Bioshock 2. You fight big daddies as well.
I mean, they're like elite guards and they're not scary.
They are big daddies, though.
I know, but they're not scary.
Right, but that's just the thing. Big daddies cease to become scary when you're playing as a big daddy. You're just fighting more of yourself.
Yeah.
So that's why, So what you're saying is they should have done Bioshock 2 where you're not playing as a big daddy.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And I think that, after the first one, big daddies aren't scary anymore.
Yeah.
They cease to be scary after you understand that if you don't touch them, they don't touch you. Type of deal.
Yeah.
I think if they were a little bit more erratic, not attack you on sight, but maybe a little bit more programmed to get closer to you, to almost seek you out.
It should have been a proximity thing, where it's just if you get too close to it, then it aggroes you, kind of like the giants in Skyrim.
Like the witch from
Left 4 Dead.
Left 4 Dead.
Sure, yeah.
That would have been cool.
That's what makes the witch so scary.
And then if you try to run away from the big sister, you might run by a big daddy, and that'll trigger that, and then you have more trouble. That could have been so cool.
Yeah.
That atmosphere would have been amazing. But instead we got Infinite, which I'm going to be playing soon.
Have you ever played Infinite?
Nope.
Okay.
I think I'll have a good time.
You've just heard what I've said about it.
Basically.
I
know a decent amount about it, and it looks really fun. It does not look scary at all.
There's a horror curve in the Bioshock series, and it corresponds with a fun gameplay curve. Bioshock 1, scariest game in the series. The gameplay is a little frustrating and not that fun. Bioshock 2 is right in the center. Well, here, two lines. Wait, 2 lines. I'm doing a graph in the air.
It makes an X.
Yeah, Bioshock 2, less scary, but more fun to play.
I have no one.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Bioshock Infinite is a full-on action game, but it's got the best combat mechanics in the series.
Yeah.
So, you'll still enjoy it, but it's not a horror game at all.
Yep.
There are, spooky elements, and there's one section of the game where it does turn into a horror game for a good portion of it. But it's more a novelty thing. It is first and foremost an action game. So, that's your rundown, and you'll do it.
Okay.
Anything else to say? Any last words?
No, not really. I I don't know. I've just been dying to record some more videos.
Like non-podcast videos?
Well, videos, not audios.
Right.
Like,
I want to too. If you ever want to do a comedy sketch, what we should do when we're done here is I've been getting back into the video making mood myself. We should like talk about it and see if there's anything we want to do.
we should.
Absolutely.
Alright, so after this, that's what we're doing.
Sweet. And won't waste any more of your time.
Have a
This
good
was
one.
almost exactly 2 hours. I'm sorry. I'll make the next one shorter.
We will
I
try.
apologize. Okay.
Remember when we could keep them to like almost an hour?
Yes.
Yeah. We have too much fun, I think.
Yeah. Because it just devolves into us having a conversation.
Alright, we
All right,
will
I'm
see
gonna
you
end this
later
at
in 3,
2,
1.